Alright, piss and vinegar day 110.5. So I did my cardio earlier, and then I had to add the arm wrestling in with it because I skipped yesterday's training session, which was supposed to be arm wrestling. My hay fever is fucking through the roof right now, so if I sound like a nasally, mouth breathing freak, that is why. And I apologize, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've been considering quitting sugar and dairy to lower my inflammatory response to get around this hay fever, but I really like sugar, so it's hard to refine sugar specifically. I mean, fruits and everything else, and obviously, if you eat potatoes or rice or whatever, that's a totally different thing. Or it does the same thing in your body, but it's not refined sugar, so it's not as inflammatory. It's not processed. But yeah, I don't know. My hay fever's fucked. So today, my arm wrestling training was a little different. I switched out an exercise. There was an exercise I was doing for my wrist that was just slowly irking at my wrist, really hurting my wrists. I didn't really feel comfortable. I didn't really feel it in the muscles a whole lot. I felt it more in the bones, which, could be a beneficial thing for arm wrestling because the more tension you can put in your bones, the more bone density and Wolf's Law you get, which for arm wrestling is great because it's very much a structural integrity sport. Whoever's bones are thicker and, more solid oftentimes can hold people in place better or whatever. But shit ain't that serious. I'm not willing to give myself fucking carpal tunnel or wrist immobility or pinched nerves just for the sake of some fucking benefit in arm wrestling. So I switched this exercise out and it ended up giving me a great benefit, which you'll see in a second. But also on top of that, I decided to start doing traps at the start of my workouts or alongside my workouts. But in this case, because I do side pressure with volume, I actually do numerous sets on side pressure because you can't really take side pressure 1 rep max, or 5 rep maxes or whatever. It's just too painful, at least for me. I do volume with it, therefore I can, in between sets, I just go back and forth between traps and the side pressure. Because I'm doing the nucleus overload experiment for my traps, training traps every day. But the problem is, at the end of a high intensity session, it's very difficult to muster up the willpower or even the memory to go, oh, cool, yeah, all right, now I'm going to do fucking 4 or 5 sets of high rep traps. Not really into that. And I've been skipping a lot of these daily sessions I'm supposed to be doing because of that. Because, we all a lot of us get into high intensity because we fucking hate volume. And then trying to finish this high intensity session with volume, it's just very fucking mentally exhausting. So I decided I'd start my sessions off with traps or working it alongside if it's like a volume day, like on my squats, like on my leg day I do squats with volume, so I can do it alongside that. On back day I'd probably have to do it after the fact because if you do rows with pre-exhausted traps, you'll only feel the traps, no lats. So some things maybe not so much, but I'm going to start trying to do those traps at the start of the workouts. So today I didn't do the other wrist exercise. I just decided to just do this one, which is basically the same thing. It's just that the wrist, the angle in which the tension is coming from puts it a little bit more into the fingers rather than the wrist, which is realistically a good thing because, arm wrestling starts with the fingertips and goes all the way down. And my fingers fucking tiny, so strength, they're very much a weak link. So this is fine. It felt better. It's better for hypertrophy because I can feel it much more in the muscles and it doesn't fuck my wrists up. And this way, I can focus more on the one exercise rather than doing 2 exercises for the same muscle group. Because if you put too many exercises for the same muscle group in a go, you kind of split the intensity of which you can put into those exercises up. The more exercises you do, the less intensity you can have. If you do, say, 20 wrist curl exercise variations, it's going to be very difficult to sustain intensity throughout all the different exercises. By the time you get to the 5th, 6th exercise, you're really going to have a hard time putting your intensity into those movements. And 2, the first movement will suffer because you'll be apprehensive to take that to its utmost due to the fact that you'll understand that there's a bunch of shit following it. That means you have to you'll either subconsciously limit yourself or consciously limit yourself. So sometimes it's better to just have a few exercises or very minimal. I mean, my shoulders, I do 2 exercises for my shoulders, and they have gotten the most growth out of any muscle in the last very long time, in fact, and the most strength gains, in fact. So A lot of times less exercises are better. A lot of times I do more exercises than I need, just neurotically, because we're all brainwashed for volume. But slowly but surely, I'm trying to reduce my volume more and more to reap more gains, because it's demonstrable that the less volume I do, or the less exercise selections I do, at least, the better gains I get. So yeah, I just did this one, and then I also did another wrist exercise, but it's more of a finger exercise in a dead hang. So this is more finger and forearm, wrist, etc. The whole chain. Whereas then I do a fat grip dead hang, which is much more in the fingers, which again I need to work on because I have super short fingers. I have this weird, my palms. I mean, it's funny, like when I meet really tall guys, or I have like really tall mates, I'll be like, why is, my palm is oftentimes the same size as like these really tall dudes with huge hands. Like I have very decently sized palms, like big man hand palms, right? But my fingers are just super fucking short. So, my palm is like almost an inch longer than my fingers, which is freaky. Like most people, their fingers and palm length are the same, if not their fingers are actually longer than their palms. Or maybe slightly shorter, but not to the extent mine are. So dead hangs, not only am I super weak at them, I should really be doing them more because they're very finger heavy. So there's not much wrist in it, although I cut my wrist in more. I'm not doing a straight wrist, so my wrists are getting there, and my forearms got fucking brutally pumped from these, like more than any other exercise I've done for forearms. It's a static movement. You wouldn't think that a static movement could give you such a great contraction because you're not really contracting through a range of motion, but boy, this was brutal. Plus, like the fucking blood's running out of your arm. It's just fucking wild. But also got in my fingers a lot, which God knows I need to fix. Good for the lower back, good for the back in general, good for the shoulders. So they're brutal. And last time I did these, I was 75 kilos. Now I'm 90. So I don't know how much time I got. Last time when I was 75 kilos rather, I got 60 seconds. Now I'm 90 kilos. If I got anything within that ballpark, I'll be very happy because that's a 15 kilo progressive overload, basically. But yeah, the very short fingers, I often wonder if there's any, any mechanical advantage in arm wrestling to having really big palms and super small fingers. I can't really, on the top of my head, imagine any scenario where that would be beneficial. But the thing is, in arm wrestling, like, people make their physical, whether it be an attribute or seemingly a, thing that is what a disattribute. I don't know the opposite of attribute would be. Anyway, people will oftentimes use their disadvantages as an advantage in some weird way, like Crazy George, the godfather of King's Moving. He's a 70-year-old man who weighs 60 kilos and disadvantaged in the sense that he can't fucking open his arm. He's got like fucked up calcified elbows from arm wrestling for so long. But that, what would seemingly be a disadvantage because it's a fucking disability, allows him to beat like heavyweight arm wrestlers even though he's like a tiny old man. So I often wonder if the huge palms, tiny finger ratio would give me some technical advantage in a certain technique. I don't know. It's hard to tell because I don't arm wrestle people very much, and I haven't had time to really, dig in and try all the different techniques on someone who also knows what they're doing. And I haven't had time, or I haven't arm wrestled anyone that actually really knows arm wrestling really well, who could potentially give me insights. But I'm sure there's probably something. I like to hope there is, because if there isn't, it's very fucking annoying to have such a physical disadvantage. Hence why I'm so avid on a side pressure, trying to get my side pressure as high as I can to make up for the lack of hand. But I was just thinking about that. I wonder if there's anything that comes in handy with. I thought maybe the flop wrist press, maybe, because you have the shorter fingers, but you got the big hand pad that allows you to like slip down longer or something. I don't know. It's I can't really imagine where it would potentially be really good. But anyway, I was also thinking today, I was thinking about facial expressions through training, where actually no, I'll talk about that another day. I wanted to also say, it's funny because back to my fucking super short fingers. As a PT, I have these, monthly competitions for my clients where at the end of the month, whoever beats, all the other clients' times or reps or whatever it is for the given exercise gets a free session. And one of the other caveats is if they can beat me, because I compete in these, they get a full free month. So not just a free session, they get a free month. And for a long time, no one even got close to beating me because, well, I'm the PT. So that's not, the whole idea of having a PT is they're going to be bigger and stronger and fitter than you. If you're bigger, fitter, and stronger than them, what's the fucking point? You probably are onto something, or you don't necessarily need a hell of a lot of help unless that PT is just physically fat or weak or out of shape, whatever. But anyway, clients had never beaten me or come close in these competitions. But then one time, I stupidly made a dead hang competition where I was like, all right, let's all do dead hangs, thinking that, as someone that trains my grip a lot through arm wrestling, that there's no way they'd be able to beat me. But lo and behold, 3 of my fucking clients beat me. And these aren't weak dudes. These are, by all means, stronger than average individuals, albeit a lot of them have only been training for 6 months to a year, and a lot of them are, a bit older, 40, 50, 60. But these are strong guys, they through good. I'm a good trainer, so they're strong. They squat 2-3 plates, they bench 80 kilos, 100 kilos, and these are older gentlemen. But anyway, these guys, they're pretty strong, but by no means are they as strong as I am. As someone that's been training for so long, I'm younger, and I'm much more into training than they are. But because they had this leverage advantage through their fingers, I had fucking 3 clients beat me. And I lost a lot of money that month because 3 clients got to train for free. And I'm a man of my word. I was going to go back on this and be like, well, I didn't realize because of my fucking physical handicap that I was going to have 3 people beat me and then just flake on them and say no. No, I was like, all right, well, fair and square, they beat me. And a lot of them beat me by a freakish amount of fucking time. My dead hang at the time, when I was probably 80 kilos at the time, about 60 seconds. Some of these motherfuckers were doing 99 seconds. One of my clients who's 6'3", he's got really, really long hands, big fingers. And by no means is his grip anywhere as strong as mine, pound for pound. If we were both to do, say, a dynometer where you grip and it shows you the kilos, my kilograms when I've done those has been in the 80s, which is pretty high. Whereas, this said guy probably be high, but not super high up. It'd be 40, 50 kilos. So the strength, output, not even close, but the leverage advantage, and this is tying into my point with arm wrestling, the leverages are so important because this guy, not even close to as strong as I am, and yet fucking crushed me in this competition because of that extra, inch or 2 of finger length around the fat grip, which in arm wrestling would be a hand. So, sucks having long fingers. Boo-hoo, poor me. Well, I'll try and figure a different way out because that's all you can do in life is, if you're disadvantaged in one way, you've just got to overcompensate with something else. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow for more Piss and Vinegar. Bye.